Colorado. Thank you so much for being here, for fighting for what is right. I really appreciate being here and appreciate Representative Navarro's introduction. Privileged to meet her and her family, her beautiful girls, Christina and Georgie, and she is just such a great voice and face and heart for Colorado. I love being in Colorado, you know, where you're tasting the Rockies and waiting for the mountains to turn blue, right? I do love Colorado. It reminds me so much of home. Also very excited to know that we're in the presence, not physically right at this moment, but hopefully soon he'll be addressing the summit, in the presence of Colorado's next great senator, Darrell Glenn. I am in awe of this man's accomplishments and his willingness to serve on a new battleground now. We need Darrell's military might and his ethos so that America can be made great again. So thank you for sharing him with the rest of the United States, Colorado. Well, I just returned from speaking at an event much unlike this event. It was full of folks who weren't really big fans of someone like a Darrell Glenn or a Donald Trump or me, you, maybe any common sense conservative. And that's okay because I love the challenge of not just singing to the choir, and I love mostly the topic that they gave me. It was, how is Trump winning? More specifically, it was, why, oh, why is Trump winning? And I told him, you know, it's really funny to me to see the splody heads keep exploding over this movement because it seems so obvious. Darrell wins, Trump wins, America will win because voters are so sick and tired of being betrayed. Politicians campaign one way and they govern another, and that's become status quo. So enough voters finally said enough, that the status quo has got to go. It's like my dad's pickup truck. He's got a bumper sticker and it says, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, I am an American and I want my country back. Dad's truck, it speaks for the silenced majority. Well, millions have awakened, as I explained to the other crowd. Millions have awakened to the reality of our economy's trajectory and our standing on the world stage and our measures of security. And we said, Washington is so broken. Our government is out of control. So for such a time as this, we rise up to tear down what it is that keeps us from our destiny as an exceptional nation, that beacon for other nations that are striving for peace and prosperity. It is time. It is our time. So let's go fix it. Knowing, though, the rapidity of this transformation of America, the piled on problems, and most tragically, sensing the people's hope deferred, voters knew that, well, the only way to fix this is with a revolution. So we sought a revolutionary. We paid attention. We did our own homework versus relying on the media to vet candidates for us. We asked, who is not part of the problem? Who's got the record of success that's due respect and the attention needed to run for president? Who's got nothing to lose, but knows that our very sovereignty is to gain? Who'd be beholden to no one but we, the people? Who is not for sale, not palling around with crony capitalists in bed with special interests, but screwing the American people? Who's not cuffed by the politically correct police? Well, we wanted someone with guts to say not what he thought we wanted to hear, but really what the nation needs to hear. So yeah, we asked, who's not been part of the problem? Now, 8 years ago, I warned that Barack Obama's promised fundamental transformation of America, it was going to make government bigger and take more from you and give more orders from Washington and really reduce our strength in a dangerous world? And it is the one promise that he kept. And every thinking American now knows the repercussions. So thinking Americans sought and watched Donald Trump rip the veil off a rigged system that has betrayed your average, everyday, hardworking, garden variety, ticked-off American. And there are more of us than the disconnected left can ever even fathom. Trump's outsider status, where he explains he got to see how both sides work, that let him become a new standard bearer for a grassroots populist movement that's fertilized by the still passionate Tea Party in all its glorious independence. Voters really disgusted with the audacity of duplicity, where corporate elites bankroll campaigns, and with such disloyalty to the American worker, they actually arrange our political landscapes for their interests. Well, we found a messenger, and he wasn't found among the politicians insisting that they be elected and re-elected, lest they have to come home and join us peasants under the laws that they passed but exempted themselves from. Well, armed with secure identities as Americans, people of all persuasions jumped on board the Trump train. Chugging along on the primary trail, defying conventional wisdom of the, I say it with, I guess, all due respect, the loser consultants. And I term them loser consultants because they keep losing election after election after election. It's fitting. Well, defying that wisdom, Trump shattered voter turnout records. And like a golden wrecking ball, he shattered walls in the good old boys club. He knocked out the hypocritical intolerance that dares stymie freedom of speech with intimidation and those false accusations of sexism and racism just to stop debate. Now, those accusers, we saw a bunch of them this morning coming out of the hotel. Those accusers are the silly protesters at Trump rallies. We've been telling him he should hold his rallies at his construction sites. Protesters aren't going to show up at a job site. Did you know some of those rebel rousers, they're actually paid protesters? So there you go, not even president yet, and our guy's already creating jobs. Well, they have tried that tired, worn, war on women warpath to jump on, and I asked, Trump supporters? We're anti-woman? Huh? Anti-liberal woman who blew it in Benghazi and BS'd in Bosnia and buffaloed business with her quid pro quo deals and hid emails in some dude's bathroom. That kind of woman? Yeah, sure. But women in general, certainly not. Well, momentum on this train, it built as the GOP wing of the good old boys club whispered actually that they'd throw in for Hillary against the will of the people in their own primary. And this exposed the establishment's con game. I know none of you are a part of it, or you wouldn't be here today, again, fighting for what's right. I hope you're not part of it, or you're going to be really ticked off at me with what I say next. The establishment's con game. See, more Americans were learning it doesn't matter to the Beltway bubble boys and girls which side actually wins elections, as long as they get to keep their titles and their ratings and their power and their purses full. They win and we lose. Well, we drove right over that, and we drove over those desperate darts flying at our front runner, like the critics crying, "Oh, Trump's not conservative enough." What would they know about common sense conservatism. What does handing Obama a blank check to run up trillion-dollar deficits with no end in sight, and pushing endless wars with no path to victory, and inviting millions of unvetted illegals through our Swiss cheese borders to replace American workers, and wanting amnesty for millions of new Democrat voters? What's that got to do with conservatism? The establishment, those profiles and pudding, they bent over for all those things, and now they fret about ideological purity? Well, they got busted. So they panicked, and then they started feeding the left this idea that, well, all we had to fuel this movement was anger. Really, that's some gall that they're lecturing us that we're too passionate about our country. Yeah, they stomp on our neck and then tell us to just chill out. Well, darn right, voters are mad. It's righteous indignation. But what the professional political class really can't handle is knowing really that the movement is more than anger. It's an optimistic, sensible, building up the people agenda, and that is good change. But to them, it's a threat. You know who's threatened? Those GOPers who insist that they'll never vote for their party's choice this time. They call themselves, that gang, they call themselves the never hashtag, the whatever. Okay. Oh, well, I just call them Republicans Against Trump, or RAT for short. They want to take their Nuggets ball home and stay home instead of vote because their guy didn't win this time around. Now, I shouldn't call them thumbsuckers because they're not all bad. I'm kidding, they are. And Hillary thanks them because she cannot win without them. Folks, we're talking about our sovereignty here, our solvency and security, our entire invaluable system of law and order in a republic bought with patriots and vets, blood, sweat, and tears. This isn't a game, nor some drama to be played out on the convention stage. No, they're playing with dynamite and arming those opposed to the planks in the platform upon which Lincoln and Reagan stood. We're talking about the direction of our country, our children's future, the direction of the Supreme Court, all of this hinging on the next election. And at such a time as this, you cannot be lukewarm. We're going to take our country back, and you're either with us or you're against us. We'll take it back from those who lie, the professional politicos who really don't suffer but profit with open borders. They don't suffer but profit moving jobs overseas. They don't suffer but profit when lobbyists push reckless foreign policy. They profit from boondoggles like the Republicans' omnibus and Democrats' Obamacare, who give lip service to an oath in office, but really we can't even trust them right now to defend our rights. Look at the Second Amendment attacks recently. After Obamacare's lie, did we not learn? His lie that, you like your doc, you can keep your doc. Now it's you like your Glock, you can keep your Glock. Well, after being beaten down and divided up, voters sought plans then to rebuild our United States. We looked for a builder. We found a builder. Trump looks up and he builds big. Ask yourself, what have his critics ever built? And Trump Trump connects an unabashed billionaire, not that there's anything wrong with that, yet he still respects our hard hats and steel-toed boots. He knows that men in denim built this country, but DC suits and pantsuits destroy it. He gratefully shakes the skilled, calloused hand and hugs tight the essential blue collar. And he salutes in awe of sacrifice the American in uniform. It's connection through appreciation. He's not running because he's bedazzled by the trappings of office. No, sincerely, he is in awe of the beauty of all of you, of everyone willing to do their part to restore America, to make it great again. He's on the side of Joe Sixpack, where I come from, and he says to us, I worked hard, I succeed, I want you to succeed too. And knowing what it takes, he says, I want you to work. And here's how we'll do it together to make America great again. And that is the fabric of America's character, woven by work ethic and dreams and drive. That's America. And that's what the media is missing, and what the group, many participants in the group I just spoke to, that's what they're missing. They don't get it. No, we defend him, media. We defend him because he defends us. Take those, the ugly charge of racism. This is so ridiculous. Trump has been covered in the spotlight for decades. Years and years, showing so many of his friends and colleagues of every race, color, and creed, great relationships with them all. And see, the press knows that, because they're the ones who did the covering of him. And Trump was never called a racist until he decided to run against the Democrats. And that's the way that the dirty side of this business works. Believe me. So, now, with him, we who are determined to clean up the crap spewed by hypocrites playing politics of personal destruction, no, together, we call them out. We call out the liars, because we're going to make America great again. And this movement is exactly that. And this movement is about the providence honored in our Constitution. Trump is with us in withholding the oath, swearing to uphold what it is that has created our declarations of liberty. Trump will put America's blueprint first to strengthen us, especially as we face existential threats that others would ignore. The biggest, most sinister threat, it's Islamic ideology, that is ISIS. That is the death cult. The death cult that isn't even acknowledged with accurate verbiage from leftists with their heads left in the sand. And despite all the bloody evidence of a ghastly dogma, Obama won't admit that Islam put the I in ISIS. It is a clash of civilization that is our long twilight struggle. But if you transplant to your shores a foreign population that is hostile to the very things that your country stands for, you won't have a country for long. You can't have peaceful democracy with people who hate democracy, or a culture respecting life with anyone who would love death more than life. And that's not hate speech, it's common sense. As is understanding that when someone screams allegiance to Sharia law and screeches Allah Akbar, death to America, he means you and yours. What does the left think that he means? Well, Because of all this, the movement grew, with Americans really getting sick and tired of those accusations of being anti-legal immigrant. We are a nation so generous in humanitarianism. We've taken in 6 times more migrants than all of Latin America combined. We look up at Lady Liberty and we read, she is inviting the tired, the poor, the huddled masses. But we don't stop there. We keep reading. Read the rest. She's saying, welcome, you yearning to breathe free. Those who don't yearn for America's freedoms, sustained by following our rule of law, but instead yearn for child brides and female mutilation and killing all gays and non-believers and refusing assimilation and demanding that the American culture change into the culture that they claim they had to escape from. No, our national instinct to do good is beautiful, but that kind of humanitarianism, it's self-destructive. So too is straying from what we know works economically, time-tested economic truths that have been able to build this country and allow us to be prosperous. We desperately need leaders who understand conditions that create wealth and that they will favor those conditions. And that's energy independence, and it's limited government, letting the private sector innovation soar. That creates opportunities. That's what creates jobs and less entitlement mentality that is eroding America's work ethic. No. Those time-tested economic truths, applying those and having a leader who understands it and has never been addicted to opium, other people's money, opium is what we call it, other people's money that politicians have been for too long addicted to. Not having that experience in the private sector to understand how to balance a budget. You know, those who are writing the paychecks and not taking from you and giving to others in really a socialist bent. Well, America wins by applying those time-tested economic truths that we know work. Right now, our nation, though, is not really winning. $20 trillion in debt with no end in sight, and enemies laughing at us, and allies not being able to trust us. We're going to get trampled if we just hire more of the same for more politics as usual. That's insane. Trump is winning because he will put you first, for Americans win again. It's why his rallies are all about winning. They're rowdy and they're fun and they're energizing. You've seen some of the left's rallies? Cranky, demanding, shrill. Vote for me. I make no sense and I'll never have to explain myself, but vote for me and you'll get all this free stuff. Those rallies? Hey, that's what happens when every kid gets a trophy. Speaking on behalf of so many Americans, Colorado, I can't thank you enough for being in the fight for what is right and wanting to find someone to serve for the right reasons, not expecting to make a penny off of us like too many politicians are doing today, but instead, with a servant's heart. You don't have to be doing this for us. We should be thankful. Thank you for putting up with some of the things that you have to put up with amongst our own tent. I'm glad the tent is growing, though. I'm glad the tent is growing with people understanding, these common sense, time-tested principles and truths that will make America great again. We'll apply those. We just needed that revolutionary who's in the right position to lead us to that. So it's really, really good to be among friends here today, Colorado. It is you fueling the movement to get us going in the right direction. The vigilant hopped on and shocked the political class because it was the disaffected majority that they had left behind. More are coming aboard, telling the driver, Mr. Trump, carry our standard into battle. We're silenced no more. Thank you, Colorado, from the bottom of my heart. God bless you and God bless the United States of America.